Not one, not two, but three off of my top 12 goal list for 2021 in this Comic Book Editions video. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm really excited about the books I'm going to show you in this Comic Book Editions video today. We don't have a ton of books, but we have some great books. And as I mentioned, 3 of which are off of my top 12 goal list for 2021. So I'm excited to check mark 3 more off of that list. But let's get started with the books that I have to show you today. The first one is this Spidey Super Stories, issue number 15. With Spider-Man guest starring Storm. Now, I know for some folks, Spidey Super Stories are easy books to find at their comic book shops. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's a regional thing or not, but I can't find Spidey Super Stories very rarely in my area. This was one that I didn't find in the area. I ordered it. It's something that I had been watching on Macari for a while. And, you know, I always thought if someone snatches this up, I'm going to be disappointed at myself for not pulling the trigger on it. So I decided to be the person that pulled the trigger on it. And it did say other folks had this in their cart too. I guess there were a few other people in the same scenario as me. But the price had gone down a lot. The book's in really nice shape. And I'm really happy to have this one. There's a few other Spidey Super Stories that I'm hoping to add into my collection sometime in the future. I already have that famous one with the Thanos copter. Scooped that one up earlier this year. But like I said, there's still a few other ones that I'll get, and maybe sometime I'll have some luck in scoring the ones that I'm missing to fill in for my collection. These books are obviously, as I've talked about before, very early reader level, but they're fun. And of course, because these books are targeted to children, specifically those that watch the Electric Company children's TV-themed show way back in the 70s. They make a few precautions and some changes with the characters. I mean, look at Storm, as a matter of fact, on this cover. You see Storm and her midriff are covered up. The costume's slightly modified to put a little more clothing on her body. So it was a fun story, The Great Rain Robbery, and I'm happy to have this one in my collection. This next book is one that I traded with a friend of mine in Japan. Besides Kay Titus, who is probably watching, so shout out to you, Samurai Ken. I have another friend in Japan, and he contacted me, and I'm so glad that he did, because I didn't even know that this book was around. I had no idea that it was even made. And this came with the Japanese Wonder Woman 1984 home video release. You could get it as a combo. And as you see, the book is much smaller than a normal comic book size. This is, it's labeled Wonder Woman, or WW84, Agent of Peace, issue number 1. The interior of it is the Wonder Woman, Agent of Peace digital story, issue number 8, which features Wonder Woman and Cheetah. Of course, that's been reprinted in a floppy form as well. And this book, even though the cover is in English, the interior is Japanese. So I'm super happy to have this, and I was surprised at how fast it got from Japan to here. I noticed that when Japan, or even when VV from Austria is sending me stuff, when they send it, it gets here a lot faster than when I send stuff out to them. So you think that it would like get out of the United States faster, but it doesn't for whatever reason. And I'm so happy to have this. I'm so thankful and appreciative to my friend, and I hope that he enjoyed the items that I sent him in his trade as well. And I got some things that hopefully that he liked too. So it wasn't the first time that we had traded, but really happy to have this. Like I said, didn't even know that it existed until I got that message. I'm stoked. So there was one day when I decided, actually it was in the evening, and I just decided, you know, I got a little extra money to play with. I want to start whittling down my top 12 goal list. And during that time, I was DMing with Comics for Thomas. And at one point, I said to him, hold my beer. And I bought 3 books within half an hour. Bam, bam, bam. from 3 different places that were on my top 12 goal list for 2021. This first one is the first of the 3 that arrived, and this came from eBay. And I was really happy with the condition that this book is in, especially for the price. So I got my Flash number 213, and I'm so stoked about this. So this book is a reprint of Flash 137. Let me flip the image over here now so you can see the original Flash 137 cover. So there it is, and Flash 137 is the first appearance of Justice Society in the Silver Age. So that's Wonder Woman, Atom, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Dr. Midnight, Johnny Thunder. It was their first appearances, those Justice Society members' first appearances in the Silver Age in Flash 137. And I thought about getting the Flash 137, and I did find out that it was reprinted in 213, this issue. And I just like the cover of 213 so much better. I know that 137 is worth more, but I just like this cover better. It's probably because Wonder Woman's down here in the corner, and that tipped the scale to me wanting that. Maybe someday I'll get a Flash 137. That'd still be cool to have. But in the meantime, I have this. It was a fun story to read. The Justice Society wasn't in it as much as I expected, with the exception of Jay Garrick. But it still was a fun story to have. And look at that. Let's pull up that top 12 goal list for 2021. Now has an X in the position where Flash 213 was. Yes. So as I said, I bought 3 out of my top 12 goal list for 2021 within half an hour. And this is a book that I should have, in all reality, I should have bought this book last year. And it would have been better on me financially had I bought it last year. But who knew that the market was going to explode the way it has, right? So I did find one, and I see this book in so many different places. JP's Budget Collecting, I've seen this in the background of his so many times. I've seen this book when I've been at comic shows on the wall. I think John's Comics with Kids has a copy of this, and I've seen it in the background in his videos too. And every time I see that, it just keeps calling to me, get this book, get this book, get this book. And I'm glad I did now. But I do have a copy here of Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, issue number 70. The big key appearance. This is first Catwoman in the Silver Age. Isn't that interesting that after 12 years of not being in DC Comics, that Catwoman would come back, but not in a Batman or a detective title, that she would come back in this Lois Lane issue, number 70. It's the first of a 2-parter. I'd never read this story before. I actually thought the story was really good too, and I was happy with the story. Overall, I'm really happy with the condition that this book is in. Very light subscription crease down the center, but it is very light, but this thing is cleaned up and looks very nice. One thing that was not disclosed to me, and I'm not a fact, I don't like surprises on my comic books after they arrive. The centerfold was detached, and that was not listed, and this wasn't an auction. I bought it from a comic book site, and they had other things, like they talked about the subscription crease and so on and so forth. And I thought, am I going to keep this? Am I not? I'm just so happy with this book, with the exception of that centerfold being detached. Other than that, I'm so happy with it. I did send a note to the seller saying, hey, I'm still going to keep the book, but just FYI, this was on there, and they never replied to me. Wasn't a big fan of that either. You got to have some good customer service. Got to take care of people. But I'm not going to try to make that be a blemish on the fact that I finally own my copy of this book. This is one of the books that after the marketplace starts to go back down, I don't think the value of this book will go back down. I think the value of this book will maintain. The problem is it's been so undervalued for so long now that it's getting up to where it should be. And that's why I said I should have bought this last year, because it would have been much more affordable. But the search is done. My friend Comics for Thomas doesn't have to, I can't tell you how many different copies of this book he's looked at different sites for me. What's your opinion on this condition? He doesn't have to do that anymore. It's taken care of. I like to get a 71 just to finish up the story. That's not nearly as expensive as 70 is. And, hopefully I'll get that taken care of. If not, I'll check it out digitally sometime too. But yes, I got it. Yes. Okay, just a little podcast. Cookie, are you watching? This is a book that he's been chasing and I've been chasing as well. And I haven't told him that I have this book. If he's watching this video now, this is the first time he's learning of it. Before I show it, we pop back to my top 12 goal list and we X mark that Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. Okay, that's gone. We're going to pop that list back up because the third book from my top 12 goal list that I've now accomplished in this video, Amazing Adventures, issue number 11. Eat your heart out, Cookie. I'm just kidding, man. I hope you get a copy soon too. This is one that same deal with the Lois Lane. That when the marketplace starts going back down, I don't think that this book's price will go back down because it's been so undervalued. I should have picked this up a year ago too. Who knew that this big comic book sellers boom was going to happen and going to occur at this time? This is probably a fine, very fine. And as I also mentioned, I don't like surprises on my comic books. And this one did have a surprise that I didn't know. I didn't buy this on an auction. I bought it from a different comic book seller. And on the first page, someone wrote their name up in the corner in the first page. And it's not that distracting. I probably would have asked for a little bit of money down from that had I known that. I did contact the seller, said, I'm still going to keep the book. I'm just letting you know. And the seller did reply, the representative from the company that sold it to me did reply and said, oh, I must have missed that. I thought, well, okay. I would have offered me maybe at least free shipping for my next order or something, but at least it was a reply. This story was so good. I had never read this story before either. Of course, the key for this is the issue where Beast turns into his furry form for the first time rather. And he's gray actually instead of blue. I never read the story. The story was good. His motivations for taking the serum, which ends up making him furry, I thought was kind of odd, but you got to remember the time that this comic book was published too, and they wrote books a lot differently back then. I'm happy to have this, and now we're popping that top 12 list back up that you've been looking at a couple times already on this video, and check marking my third. So what does that mean? We have 7 down now. I think we have 7 down, and the bottom row is doing very well. If it's a competition between top row and bottom row is winning for sure. So what's my next book that I'm going to check mark off of my top 12 goal list? I don't even know yet, but I'm anxious to find out. And of course, in future comic book editions, I will be sharing that with you as well. Now, even though I've showed you my 3 new book editions that were part of my top 12 goal list, I still have some other books that I picked up, some other back issues that I want to share with you at this time. The same place where I bought my Amazing Adventures, number 11. I also threw in, to save on shipping, a couple $1 books, and one of those was Defenders number 62. Defender for a Day, where a ton of people express interest in becoming members of the Defenders. What's interesting about this cover, people like Human Torch, Iron Fist, Angel, Spider-Woman, Iron Man, they're on the cover, but they're not in the story. Although Iron Man does make an appearance in the next issue. He's not actually in this issue, though. But those people on this cover aren't even in this story. And there's some other people who are in the story that didn't make the cover, like Ms. Marvel. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this, was for my Ms. Marvel collection. Ms. Marvel in her Black Lightning Bolt costume, as I always say, it's my jam. And she makes an appearance in here. At one point, she's talking to Valkyrie, and she says, and Valkyrie's like, excuse me, do I know you? Because Ms. Marvel had been a guest star in issue 57. She's like, oh, I'm Ms. Marvel. I just have a new costume now. Thought that was funny. And Nova is riding a horse in this issue. I messaged Comics for Thomas. I'm like, your boy Nova is riding a horse in this issue. I don't know. This is pretty wonky. I don't know what's going on. I also picked up part 2 of the story, where pretty much anyone that expressed interest in becoming a Defender for a Day kind of quits the team. This is issue number 63. So I've been wanting these for a while, Ms. Marvel's in this one as well. I'm very loosely trying to put together as many Defenders as I can. You can get so many of those books in the bargain bins, but it was mostly for my Ms. Marvel collection. I have all the regular issues of her title, and I'm working on her guest appearances now, and there's not a lot left of them to get. There's a few, but not a lot. So this helps me check mark 2 of those in my goal of completing that. Also, I should mention, jumping back to the first issue of this 2-issue story arc, this one here, 62, there is a Star Wars movie reference in there. They talk about Wookiees, and Star Wars: A New Hope came out in 77, and this book came out, I think, in early 78. So this is goes to show that Star Wars was kind of an instant pop culture reference right from the get-go. Didn't take any time to curate that. Up next is a book that I have always wanted, and it was a huge impulse. There's a comic book store that I might only go to 2 times a year, if. And what seems to happen is I go to the store looking for something that I think that they would have. They don't have it. I look around at other stuff, and they have some great stuff. It's just a little overpriced. Or sometimes it's overpriced, especially for the condition that it's in. And I just walk out frustrating, never buying anything. And that almost happened again this time when I went shopping there. But I saw one thing in particular that I just kept looking at, and for the price and condition, I thought, I think this is a good deal. And then I thought, I think I might regret this if I don't buy this right now. So I'm happy to have an X-Men number 56. I don't have any of the X-Men issues from the 50s in my collection. I mean, numbered from the 50s in my collection. This book is from 1969. And, I mean, you look at this cover. This has been homaged a few different times. My favorite homage of this is when John Byrne homaged this in X-Men number 135 as part of the Dark Phoenix saga. I love that. But this is actually Neil Adams' first X-Men issue. And I don't know if you've heard the story, Neil tell the story before, but when he found out he was going to get to work for Marvel, Marvel said to him, "What title do you want?" And Neil said to Stan Lee, he said, "Well, what is your worst selling title right now?" And he said, "X-Men." He says, "We're probably getting close to canceling it." And Neil Adams said, "I'll take X-Men." And Stan Lee and Marvel's like, "Why do you want the worst selling?" And he's like, "There's no pressure." And because of his art, it lasted a lot longer before it went into its reprint phase. It's hard to think right now, that X-Men was almost canceled. But first Neil Adams, X-Men. It's also the first appearance of the Living Monolith. I'm reading this one tonight. And I'm so happy to finally have one of these. I'm just stoked beyond belief. And just I haven't put a Silver Age X-Men into my collection in quite some time. I've really been kind of working on the Bronze Age ones that I'm missing from the Claremont era. And I'm so happy to have this now. Stoked. And one more that I want to show you in this video before we wrap up. This is Captain America number 695. And this is the Billy Martina Ace Universe homage sketch cover. This came out in early 2018. And I'm happy to have one of these in my collection, which was a gift. So that is super cool. I haven't read this yet, but I'm looking forward to it as well. So what do you think of these recent pickups in my collection? Do you have any of them? Are you looking for any of them? Are any of them on your goal list? I'd love to dialogue about those things and more in the comment section below. Make sure to leave me a comment. Give this video a thumbs up because that's appreciated. Another great way to show support to this channel is if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, maybe you could share the channel with someone who isn't subscribed and they would subscribe. That is probably the thing that would make me the most happy, is to get another new subscriber, especially if it came based on a recommendation from you. So thank you for making it to the end of another one of these comic book editions videos. I appreciate you so much. Looking forward to reading your comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if I forgot to mention that. But most importantly, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.